gosh. Hello.
Yes, hello. How are you?
Yeah, good,
Good.
so
Um,
good.
so Hansini
Yes.
Gamatchi, Hansini Gamatchi,
Gamache. Yeah, nailed it. Well done.
she is a first-generation Australian Sri Lankan, an aspiring musician who also wants to develop, grow, and professionally work in all areas of the arts, singing, dancing, and acting. Her hope is to encourage and help foster creative talent in South Asian community and be a good example of a successful brown girl in the industry. Welcome, Hansini,
Jeez.
to the Brown
I've
Paint podcast.
wow. I've never been introduced before, so I didn't know how to act. Like that in
Yeah, I
depth. I was
know.
like,
Whenever I
yeah.
introduce someone, they just kind of like twiddle their thumbs awkwardly.
Oh,
It's a
yeah,
bit of
no,
an
I
awkward
just
thing,
had
isn't it?
to, yeah, no, I just sit there.
Yeah.
But
So today we're going to talk about our sort of experience coming into being a brown artist. And
mhm.
not in the way most people would, I guess, take that. We're talking about this from an intracultural perspective. So sort of like, talking about the kind of discrimination or drama we face during like through the brown community becoming an artist, because that's quite a controversial thing to be as a South Asian person. I don't know why, I still don't understand it, but it just is.
Yep.
um and I know some people, I just have to say this, I'm just going to disclaimer it. Some people have like a weird problem with this topic because I don't think they believe that it's really that big of a deal or that big of an issue. Or they
Mm,
possibly don't even think that brown toxic culture exists. But I'm here to say that, it's easy to say that when we're kind of older, when we're in our 20s and we've kind of moved on from it, and we're not like under the, I don't know, control or like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
parentship of our parents. Is
Influence?
that it? Influence of our
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But for a young kid, you have to understand that this stuff can be really traumatic. Like, that's a little person, and they're going
Mm,
through this like massive cultural shame for just
mm-hmm.
being who they want to be, whether that's an artist or being gay or being a Trump supporter. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there, but just people
Yeah.
being who they want to be and not being able to be accepted as who they want to be in brown culture is such a hard thing. And I just want to like emphasize how hard that is. And I'm so
Go
proud of
off.
you, and I'm so
Go
proud of
off.
me for being here and doing what we're
Yes.
doing today, because it's freaking amazing.
Nah, on
And
you. Oh my
like,
gosh.
congrats.
Congrats to
So,
you. Yeah. Honestly, before we like get into deep conversation, I do want to just say I've already said this to you privately, but finding your page on Instagram, watching your videos that you've already done, all of that genuinely brought me so much happiness. And like the way that you're so raw and so just vulnerable, without any fear of any repercussion or just judgment is truly inspirational. And I'm so thankful to be able to have this conversation with you because it's not had enough, which is part of why we're doing this.
yes, yeah.
So yeah, no, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for
Oh
enabling
my gosh.
me and other awesome brown creatives to have this platform to speak. So yeah,
You know what?
you're
I
a
really
legend. You're
appreciate that. I
beautiful.
really do appreciate that. And thank you for
No,
being
dude.
here, because, again, this is something that doesn't get talked about. And it's such a niche thing because there are brown artists out there, but a lot of them haven't gone through that kind of intracultural struggle that we have. And
Mm.
it's like, it's such a specific thing that I'm trying to eradicate. And I appreciate like even just getting to know you, because it's so rare to come across someone that's had such a crazy like similar story to mine. Anyway, we're getting
Right.
on
Yes.
tangents.
We're even dressed the same.
I
We're even
know,
dressed the same. This wasn't
how
planned, by the way.
weird.
It's literally the
Oh
same.
my goodness.
But
Okay,
yeah.
so
Yes.
um talk us through your journey on becoming an artist, and like why you decided to, and when that kind of happened for you, and how you knew that
Yeah.
this was something you had to do.
Yeah. Oh, I like the had to do because that is so how I
Yeah.
feel about it now. Well, when I was younger, my mom actually, she was very accommodating to my creative side. Even before I knew it, she would put me into a lot of like different areas of the arts. It wasn't just like singing lessons or piano lessons like most of us do. I started off at calisthenics. So I did calisthenics for a little bit, and that was like at the age of 4 or 5 before I even knew what performance was and what it could mean to me. I just did it purely out of the love for it. So that's where I think I got my real first taste of the stage. And so I started doing that. And as I got older during school, I found that it helped me through a lot of experiences because from a young age, I have to say that I have been through quite a bit of trauma, both personally and just externally in regards to health, in regards to family, and like a lot of areas in my life. There was a lot of trauma and hurt. Um, and so the arts was just an area for me to delve into without anyone having an opinion. It was a very easy way to express myself. Um, and so, yeah, as an individual, I was able to express myself. And that's, I think, the hardest way, especially for us as brown kids, to find
Yes.
that, especially in academics as well,
Mm.
which I reckon we'll definitely touch on later. But no, it became an extension of myself. And it comes very naturally to me. And I'm so glad that my mom helped me foster that. Because, yeah, I did calisthenics and then I did singing lessons for a little bit. And then I participated in school musicals, which then, just developed my love for the arts, I guess, because I loved the rehearsal process. I was that one weird kid that loved rehearsal. When we'd be there for 14 hours a day, I just love
Me
it.
too, though. Me too.
Right?
Me too.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was just, yeah, it was everything and more that I wanted to do. And I think at a young age, I didn't realize it consciously, but subconsciously, I think I always knew that I would just be in a creative space because it's where I was happiest. And even if I was exhausted after like a long rehearsal day, it was where I was like content. Like I was tired, but
Mm.
so happy. Like I would do it in, 2 hours of sleep and then, just wake up the next day and do it all over again. So
Man,
yeah,
let me tell you,
started at
I
a very
so
young age.
relate. So relate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
What about you? Okay, so you go on.
Oh,
For the people that don't know, Miss Adia.
she's gonna try and turn this on to me, but this is an
No,
interview about
no,
her.
no, 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 no. Yeah, we need to know a little bit about you. Go on, go on, go
Okay,
on.
okay. So, I grew up very artistic as well. I was very lucky that my brown parents were able to foster my creative side as well. So
Mm,
I grew up kind of doing singing, dancing, acting, and kind of like musicals, and I did like sports and tennis and swimming and like all sorts of different things. So I was allowed to experiment, which was super lucky because I know
yeah,
that there are
awesome.
so many people out there that don't even get that. Like all they get is
Yeah.
tuition and maybe like dumb
Oh.
school on a Sunday and that's it. But yeah, so
Gee,
I
yeah.
was allowed to experience that, and I guess you're right. Same for me. I didn't quite understand that this was something one I could do and something one I should do. Because it
Right.
was
Yeah.
always my mum actually very traumatic for her. She had it's a whole story. I'm not going to get into it, but basically she was a Kandyan dancer, which is a traditional Sri Lankan dancer. She was amazing. She was in one of the like the best troupe in Sri Lanka, and she like it was just not possible to make it a career, especially at
Right.
that time, especially such a niche art form. And she
Mm.
tried and tried, and she eventually like gave up on her dreams. And so she always pushed it onto me. Not what you think. She always said, "You'll never become a ballerina," and that was something
Right.
for me that was very traumatic because that was my first love. My first love was ballet, and I was very adamant on becoming a professional ballerina. And
Yeah.
then she kind of drilled that into me so that I kind of like was like, oh, okay, I'm not going to be a professional ballerina. What's the next
Mm.
best thing that I could do? And then I thought, okay, well, music theater will buy me more time because ballet, you have to start very
Oh,
early, and the ship kind of
yeah.
sailed and VCE was coming. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to just drop out of school and risk everything and go to a ballet school and,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
then I was like, okay, music theater will buy me more time
All right.
to study and go to uni and figure it out. Um,
Mm.
I ended up signing with my first agent at 16. I like was super shady about it.
Oof,
Didn't tell my dad.
agent,
I
gee.
brought my dad to the meeting, and my dad was like, "Who am I meeting? What am I signing?" He was freaked out. He thought I was like, I don't know, signing some dodgy thing. Anyway, ended
Jeez,
up convincing
yeah,
him, signed, and then auditioned and things like that.
yeah,
Still, again, that whole denial thing for me about not fully like embracing it as my thing or something that's a part of my identity or something that I should be doing for the rest of my life. And
right.
then went to uni and was still auditioning and was getting, I think I told you this, I had this moment where I was like, hand in chem prac or go to the West Side Story auditions. West Side Story.
Love,
Like that.
love, so good. I'm so proud of you for doing that. Because
Yeah.
at that age, I was still, I will admit, I was so impressionable, especially not from the outer community, I will say, but from my parents,
Yes.
which I will touch on later too in terms of degrees and
Yes.
sorting out my creative life and that.
Yes.
But that is insane. So you were 17, 16, you said?
I was 16, but
That is
I wasn't
crazy.
fully like, I was just sort of auditioning, but not taking it so seriously.
Right, right, right.
I didn't take it seriously until I dropped out of uni and just had like no training, no experience, just went straight in and just,
Yeah, that's crazy.
like,
Even
let's see what happens.
that. No, but
Yeah.
even that, like dropping out of uni in our society, in our culture,
Yeah,
is a
it's
madness.
nuts.
Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fact that at that age you were just like, you know what? And I think the good thing about being so young and so ambitious is that you don't really think twice about it in
No.
like the best way. Do you get me?
Yes.
Like at
Yes.
this age, we're like, oh no, these are the statistics, these are the logistics of actually
Mm.
working out this, that, and the other. But you were just like, no, you know what? I'm gonna do what
Yeah.
feels right. And then look, you're blooming, you're flourishing. So
Yeah, I think you're
there
right. Like
you go.
it was a bit of naive arrogance. And like you said before, you said it was interesting that I said, why was this something you felt you had to do? And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I think that, like, especially being an artist or just following your passion or your dream in general, it's sort of like there's this weird calling inside it. It's like you have to do this. Like there is no
Yeah,
other
right.
option. And if you could
Yeah.
imagine yourself doing anything else in the world, it'd be so much easier than doing what we're doing. Far out. Like
People think we choose
if
to
I
put
wanted to
ourselves
do
through.
something else, if I had something else I could do, I would do
Oh,
it. But there's nothing
mm,
else I could imagine myself doing, and that's why I'm here. And that's
100%.
why
Yeah,
you're here.
100%.
And it's just
Yeah.
that, like, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's
That's why when we
definitely not
get
a hobby.
not 100, oh, and that's another thing. It's not a
Yeah.
hobby. And that's, I think, even though my parents did help me foster that side of me, it was definitely more so encouraged to be a hobby for the early
Yes, me
stages,
too.
I guess. And I think that's the case for a lot of South
Mm-hmm.
Asian brown creatives. It's
That
just
was
like,
like
oh yeah, you can
stapled
do
into my
it.
brain. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
can
can
do
do
it,
it,
but yeah, just as
but
a
just
hobby.
make sure that you have a safe, yeah, a safe like backup on the side.
And you
Not
know
even
what's
backup, that has to
funny?
be your first option. What?
You know what's funny about the backup plan? The
What's
backup
that?
plan is always a 3-year freaking bachelor degree. How is that a backup plan? I'm
Hex
sorry. I've
debt,
used
trauma.
exactly wasted 3 years of my life where my body was like
Nah.
perfectly fit to break into the industry. It makes no sense.
uh,
And it's
but
just
do you
like
know
that's
what?
a huge investment for a career that you're not going to do.
Right.
That's supposed to be your backup career. And also,
Yeah.
you can't just like nowadays, you know how hard it is to get a job? You know how many people I know that are out of uni that are just like applying, and they need to do
Yeah.
another degree or something. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. But
it's not,
it comes with the
yeah.
culture. Like if you don't have a qualification, if there's not something that says you've studied a certain amount of years, you're not
Mm,
qualified to do what you claim you're doing, basically.
exactly.
And I remember actually, I want to quickly touch on a point that you made in one of your other lives is that um, having a qualification for music doesn't really exist. Sure, you can go to uni,
Mm,
do a Bachelor of Arts, this, that, and the other, right? But what a lot of people don't understand, including our parents, which is where that kind of tension
yeah.
is that you can't really get a qualification for singing or like
Mm,
you can learn technical things in that, but the actual ability to be able to do that and get on stage and have that confidence, or
Yes.
even, you know, do that kind of stuff as dancer like yourself, it has to be within you. It's not something that can really be taught. You get me?
Yes.
So yeah, that
Yes.
whole qualification thing is just a mess, a
I
mess.
feel like our whole culture runs on qualifications. We're
Yeah.
constantly having to try and prove or qualify ourselves to be
Mm-hmm.
accepted in this community and this culture.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, yeah.
it's just ridiculous because you're right. Like, I mean, you always just hear aunties saying, "Oh, that person's so qualified." Like, why is that a thing?
But
Um,
where's their experience? Tell me,
exactly,
have they actually gone out and
exactly, and
yeah,
that's the thing
yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
Australian culture. Australian culture is really like experience based. Like they won't.
Mm,
Like I know heaps of your typical. It sounds judgmental, but like your typical um
go on. Uh,
people get so easily triggered nowadays. I need to like tread
I
lightly on
know.
my words, but like
No, no, of
a
course.
bit nerdy, a bit
Mm,
like people that are very academic and like that's
right.
pushed, but then they don't have the social skills or maybe they've studied their entire time throughout high school and they haven't gotten a job, and then they come out of high
Yeah.
school and uni and they need a part-time job and they just can't get their part-time job. I know so many people like that because
Yeah.
they don't have that experience, whereas everyone else has been
Mm.
working at Macca's, which is McDonald's, by the way, for those who don't know. This
McDonald's.
Macca's from like the minute they were 14 and 9 months. So
Right.
yeah, like experience is
Yeah.
probably what counts more, right? But
Oh,
also
100%.
I think with our
Yes.
art, it's the fact that it's so personal. Like
Mm.
it's not you can't qualify for that because you're
You
bringing
can't teach
something
someone
that's
it.
unique and it can't be compared with anyone else. Um,
Yes, exactly. That's why
yeah,
people resonate with it so much.
exactly.
And on that, also, I think our community really praises the final result. So if you make it, it's like,
Mm,
yeah, well done,
yes,
good on you. I'll be
very
there for
true.
all your shows, this, that, and the other. But the
Yes.
process, it's laughable. It's a joke. It's like, why are
Mm,
you trying? Like when 90% of what you're trying to, 90% of what you have to do is in the process to get to that result that
mm,
so greatly want to see. And then that's when they get on
100%.
the bandwagon or the train or whatever you want to call it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Back to your experiences. We're getting on a rant here.
yes,
So
yes.
we got up to the part where you kind of decided that this is something you wanted to do. What happened like in that VCE time and then onwards? The
Mm.
VCE, oh wait, I think you call it something else in Adelaide,
We
right?
call it SACE. We call it SACE. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
SAE. Well, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I understood what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it's
Basically
fine.
like end of high school final exam period. How did you
Yeah.
cope with that? Because that was a horror story for me. I don't
Oh no,
know, like, there's
100%.
just so much pressure, and then there's like academic pressure, and then there's cultural pressure, and then there's like
Mm-hmm.
every type of pressure
Every
and the
type of
one.
pressure.
It's just a bad time. It's just a bad
Nah,
time.
nah. It's
Yeah,
like a
tell me
pressure
about
cooker.
that.
Yeah, well, for me, so year 12 was just do the subjects that would make you able to do any type of academic degree. So basically, I
Mm,
just did chemistry, I did bio, I did math studies, I did what else did I do? English and psychology. I think so. There was no music, there was no
mm,
art in that
yes.
entire year. And all of us who have done
Wow.
year 12 know that it can be absolutely hellish.
Yes.
Um, and for me, I don't stress out too easy as a person. So year 12 itself wasn't too bad, but the subjects that I was doing, I just did not resonate with at all. Like I
Mm.
love chemistry. I do have that science side to me, but it's not something that I'm like, yes, all right, keen to go to class this morning. Or like, And
Yeah, yeah.
so
Me
it
too.
was a bit of a drag, to be completely honest. And then I think um, towards the end of the year, I was with Australian Girls Choir, however, so I was a part of that. So
I love
basically,
that.
so it's a national organization basically, which is all around Australia. Every state has a choir. And so I was doing that throughout year 12. So I honestly think that kept me sane because I was still able to explore the
Wow.
performance side. you know, do gigs, do all that kind of stuff with the choir. But in school itself, like year 12, it consumes your life, right? So even, you know, when I had to go out to a gig, I was, you know, subconsciously that ethnic side of me was just like, oh my God, I have like 3 assignments that I need to submit. And it's all chem and I don't even get it. And it was just a mess. Like my mind was never, I could never rest. I could never sleep. And so, yeah, I think towards the end of the year when we had to apply for uni and do all those adulting things is when I was like, all right, well shit, I have to do something that's like realistic, right? And psychology is what I was best at in that year, so I was like, why not apply for psych honors? And so I did, and I got in, and so I did a year and a half of that, before I realized a year and a half later of hex debt, that I was like nah, I'm gonna try this out. So I did a year of psych, and in that year of psych I was like, okay, cool, this is interesting. But the thing with psych is you had so many electives, and all those electives, I did performance, I did drama, I did all this creative stuff.
Wow.
And
well, that's when you know, right?
Oh, that's when I knew it was basically like an arts degree with like psych electives at that point. And so as I was doing those subjects, I would spend so much more time like learning lines, learning songs, practicing my stage movement, this, that, and the other, when I had like a psych essay of 3,000 words due, you know, in a week. So that's when it really clicked to me. I was like, okay, nah, this is what I want to do. And so that extra half year was kind of like a final test run of like, do I really not want to do this anymore? Like, I'll just do like one more semester of psych and see how I go. And then that was the final straw. Basically, I remember the last psych exam I walked out of, I was like laughing like a weirdo. I was just like so happy. I was like, well, I'm not going to be doing this anymore.
Me too.
Yeah,
I totally relate.
Yeah, like I literally walked out of the exam and I was like, well then, probably got half of that wrong, guessed like a majority of it.
Me too.
And everyone else was stressed out because it was like it would impact the rest of their courses,
I felt
right?
free as a bee. Did you feel
so
too
good.
like this sense of liberty?
Yeah, 100%. And then after that semester, we had that holiday break between term 2 and 3. And in that break, I went to Melbourne and I was exploring the place, obviously all the creative stuff, went and saw the theaters and this, that, and the other, went to some gigs, and I came back and my mom was like, oh, so how'd you like it? And I was like, oh, I love it. Melbourne's the best. And my mom just kind of smiled at me. She was like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. And then I took that next semester off, right? So I deferred psych and I was like, okay, I'm going to work for a bit, just because I'm not sure where I'm going to go. I was sure, but at that point I was just making up excuses. And so I took a semester off and I started working 3 jobs. I was saving like a mother, and it was just a constant grind because I knew at that point, I think I was like, nah, Melbourne's where I want to be. And I had a conversation with Amma, which means mum, and she was like, you went to Melbourne to kind of suss it out, huh? And I was like, dang, I really did. Like, I didn't even know at that point. I went with a friend, so kind of like a holiday, but I realized how much I was pondering over it and just like how good the scene was there for arts and performing and production and acting, everything, right? And so, I had a conversation with my mom. I was like, yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to do psych ever again. And that kind of, she took it a lot better than I thought she would. But there was still that kind of like, are you sure? Like, just keep it there in case, you know, you do a year and you're like, nah. But no, I think she saw in my face that I was like, this is what I'm going to pursue. And so I saved up, and then beginning of last year, I moved to Melbourne. Currently, I'm in SA again because of COVID. But yes, I moved and I joined a uni there, and it's the best decision I made, honestly. Like,
wow. I'm so proud of you and amazed at like just to like hustle that hard, work 3 jobs to save up just to come to Melbourne and pursue your dreams freely. That I mean, man, props to you. That's incredible.
Thank you. And I don't think I realized at the time how much I wanted it until I got to Melbourne. because when I got to Melbourne, I was like, oh shit, like this happened. I made it happen. I said, oh good. Mike's like, nope.
Yeah, no, I just knocked it.
No, but no, once I got to Melbourne, I was like, no, there's no turning back now. As cliche and corny as it sounds, I was like, nah, this is where I'm meant to be. My personality suits the city, and like just
Wow.
how many options there are and how open everyone is to the idea of pursuing a creative career. It just appealed to me very highly. So yeah, no, definitely a
Definitely,
good choice.
definitely.
Yeah.
Very lucky
Yeah,
to
yeah,
be
yeah.
here. Um, but next question is, how was
Yes.
that first year for you? What was that like? I mean, being in
Ooh,
Melbourne, yeah.
yeah, honestly,
Wait, so you came to
20,
Melbourne start of 2019 or 2020?
correct, 2019.
Oh, okay, I
Yes.
was gonna say, oh no, your only experience has been
For
quarantine.
three, like 2 months, yeah. No, I had a year and a bit there, which was good.
Okay,
I'm coming back soon, so
right, yes, yeah.
can't get rid of me that easy. But no, I was there, yeah, for a year and 3 months before I came back. But 2019, I think for anyone that's moved out of home, even just to study for like 2, 3, 4 years, it was on top of all the slander that I got for moving out. It was
Mm,
just stress. All I remember from that year was stress. I genuinely, this is going to sound so sad and depressing, but I've gotten over it all now. But the year for me, I only remember a few moments from it, purely because it was just stress and like
wow.
sadness and scary. And like I had good times, don't get me wrong. Like I met the best people that I still talk to, and I had some really amazing experiences. But in regards to just moving, settling down, meeting new people, um, it was really, really scary, and it was really, really sad for majority of it. And then
Wow.
to come home, I did come back to SA a couple times, 3, 4 times during the year, um, and just hear what people's opinions and thoughts were of me moving. It was to be completely honest, it wasn't surprising,
Mm.
but for it to have actually come out of people's mouths was another thing, you know, like
Wait, as in they said it at you?
sometimes, yeah, not
Oh my
always.
God.
Sometimes it was through the grapevine that
Okay.
I just found out. Yeah.
So this is where we get into the juicy stuff, guys. This is where the whole,
Yeah.
intercultural
Oh,
discrimination situation comes in, and toxic brown culture. Let's dive
yeah.
into that. What was your
Yes.
experience with the brown community's, I guess, opinion of you going into the arts, moving to Melbourne by yourself,
Mm,
etc.?
mm. Oh, it
Start
was
from the
so difficult.
beginning.
Yeah, from the beginning, of course. No, at the beginning, it was so hard. Like, I don't think I prepared my mind for what was about to come. I kind of knew, I already
Mhm.
knew, purely because like I said, I've been doing music and performing all my life. So when people saw me doing that, like over year 12, they were kind of already giving me bits and pieces of what they thought. But when I decided to move and leave my family, and all those
Oh,
intense
no.
things, you left your family, you
Mhm.
left your sisters, you
Abandoned
left
your family.
abandoned your family. Yeah, because I'm the oldest of three. And so I copped
God.
all of the like, why would you leave your parents? Why would you leave your sisters? Like, you're their role model. So is this what you're encouraging them to just, and because we're three girls, right? And of course, there's that misogynistic, like,
Like, you can't move out by yourself because
sexist,
you're a girl.
yeah, because I'm a
Yeah.
girl
It's not
and
safe.
all of that.
All of that.
Yeah. And honestly, I think I'm one of the youngest to have moved from our incident, like immediate community.
Right.
So that was a big shocker for everyone because I was 20. How old was I? 20? Yeah, just turned 20. And so
It's
that
very
was
young for brown people
for
standards.
brown. Oh yeah, for brown people standards. Yeah, they were
Move out when
shocked.
you
It
get
was all
married type thing is
when you're
the
married.
usual.
Oh my gosh, yeah, all of it. And so it was just funny because even through some of my Lankan friends, I would hear what either their parents had said or what.
Wow.
And and it's so funny how a lot of the kids had my back, but of course aunties and uncles always have something to say, so that wasn't
Mm.
surprising to me. But I'm human, of course it affected me. There were moments where I was like, dang, like, did I really like leave my parents? Is that what my parents think of me? Do my parents think that I just left and then like just care about
Yeah.
myself, I'm selfish. This is the like,
Oh
so
my
it was
God.
very hard. It was very, very hard. Um, Luckily I had my cousins. I was with my cousins. They were quite young, so I moved in with them at the
Oh,
beginning.
nice.
So they were there to kind of comfort me, and they were quite open-minded. They were like, "No, you're here. Like, you're able to pursue this. It's a very different world to Sri Lanka. Like, it's not,
Yes. Yeah.
it's not a foreign thing." And so I had that support, which is really nice. And of course, my parents came around in the end. They were both like, "Nah, like if you're gonna do it well." That's where I'm very
Yeah.
glad my parents' mindset was at. Like, it wasn't just no, you can't do it. It was like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna do it, work hard, make connections, experience things,
That's
put
awesome.
your whole into it. And so I had that support, but of course, like the slander and everything that you get it's hard. It's not something you want to hear from, especially people you grew up with, grew
Mm.
up with or just have been around, because Adelaide's a very small community. Um,
Yeah.
and so anything that someone says that they think won't go around goes around. And
Wow.
so it was difficult. For the most part, it wasn't direct. It wasn't direct, which
Okay.
is, I think, what hurt more in a
For
way.
sure, for sure. I can take it if
Yeah.
you tell it to my face, but if you stab me
Yeah.
behind the back, it's 10 times worse.
It's 10 times
100%.
worse. Yeah. And so a lot of it was quite funny, because when I did come back to SA to visit, it was a lot of, "Oh, you're finally back. Like, oh, so you figured out this isn't going to work," or like, "How long are you staying here for?" It was that kind of, it was never, "Hi, how are you, Hansini?" Like, "How's studies going? How are you settling in?" It was never out of care, It was always out of
Yeah.
curiosity. It was
Or
always out of
judgment.
judgment.
I
Yes, a
want
lot
something
of
to
judgment.
gossip about.
100%.
Make me feel better about my daughter or son's choices. Maybe they
Yeah.
didn't get into med and they're studying accounting instead. Ooh, so
But
controversial.
then, but some people aren't ready for that conversation. No, but like, that honestly, I would cop a lot. And this is honestly, Adia, where I think the understanding and just the change of perspective came from, because I realized that a lot of what they were saying was coming out of insecurity, or it was coming out of fear. Like, it was
Yeah.
coming out of jealousy. It was coming out of, "Oh, I wish I did that," or, "I wish my kid would do that," or, "How dare you do this at such a young age and be so sure of it.
You're so
And
right.
so, yeah, I think it took me a whole year to understand that and realize that, because I was in such a like chaotic area,
Yeah.
section of my life, basically. But it came around eventually, and when that just "I don't give a stuff" person, like, attitude
Yes.
came
I
around,
love it. I
it
love
was
it.
so freeing, so freeing. But for the most part, it was very difficult, very, very difficult.
And I remember when we were talking about the other day, you mentioned that a group of people, and you don't
Mm,
have to go on if you don't want to, because I know we have a
yes.
live here with people watching, but a certain group of people refuse to talk to you now or something like that, purely because you decided to become an artist, or you
Mm,
changed or something like that. It was
yeah, I think also just coming into my own understanding of what type of people I want around me, and the energy that I want to give out and receive back. Sounds very hippie-esque, but it's so
no,
true.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Once I came to that realization, I stopped entertaining anything that was just fake, or just very,
Mm,
I don't know how to put it, just
two-dimensional,
very,
shallow.
yeah, two-dimensional, shallow. Yeah, that's right. Like, they would only ask me how I was once I'd done something good for myself,
Mm,
or yeah, if I linked up with someone to do something cool like this, let's say, it was just very, very, yeah, very fake, not genuine at all. And
wow.
so it kind of brought me peace when that all happened, because I was kind of like, "You did the work for me. Now I know that you're really not here
Mm,
for me.
mm.
Yeah, yeah. So
There's that
yeah,
there's
what were you
that
gonna say?
saying, the trash takes itself
Takes
out.
itself out. I was gonna say that, but I was like,
I know,
might
I was
be.
thinking like, oh shit, am I gonna trigger someone? Or if they're watching, if they're
Yeah,
watching.
look, I mean, no,
Who knows?
it's
Who cares? They did it, right?
yeah, and I mean, I didn't do it. I have no animosity towards those people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I honestly wish them the best, and I hope that they're whatever they're going through, for them to act out so cruelly to me, or
Yeah.
just to think that my intentions were different when I went to do music. Like, it was to
Mm.
become big or become, like, that's not why I'm doing it. I didn't
But
move to
even if
Melbourne
you
for,
were, why is that a problem? Like that's
yeah,
what I
no,
don't
exactly.
understand. It's sort of the
Mm,
same thing with people that say, "Oh, I don't like money or I don't need money or money's a devil." I'm like, "Shut up."
I mean,
Everyone wants money, but like
of
it's not
course.
a bad thing to want money. It's I guess how you
Right.
use it that's bad or gives that negative connotation. Like what's wrong with
Yeah.
wanting to be successful and dreaming big? If you even if you don't make it, it doesn't make you
Mm,
look
mm-hmm.
like it shouldn't make someone look stupid. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Right.
I have this
Yeah.
person in mind from my high school who I have huge respect for. I'm not really friends with this person, but we follow each other on Instagram and they are like fully like they've been going at it trying to
Yeah.
achieve in the music industry. And I'm not
Sick.
gonna like say the name or anything because I don't know if that's,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
is just like he just shamelessly goes for it and self promotes and does gigs and he really
So good.
embodies the kind of the success that he wants to have. And
Right.
people find that arrogant and people think, oh, like this dude, like he thinks he's all that or he wants to be famous, he's never going to get there, haha. But I'm like,
Mm.
so what? Like if
Yeah.
he gets there, amazing, but even if he doesn't, he's happy doing what he's
Yeah.
doing. Leave the guy
Yeah.
alone. People are allowed to
Yeah.
dream big,
100%.
regardless of
Yeah.
whether they achieve it or not. So I totally don't think you should use that word because I think
Yeah.
anyone would be happy if their music blew up and changed the world and did
Yeah.
all those
100%.
amazing things that music can do, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's part of it too, because our industry requires us to kind of just plug ourselves. It comes
Mm.
across as like narcissistic, or I mean, there's probably a
Yeah,
little bit
that's
of that.
true.
You need that in the industry,
Yeah.
but like you
Tiny
need
bit.
to be confident in yourself. Oh, a little bit. You need you need to promote yourself, especially in the early
Hmm.
stages, because it's not like I have a manager now. It's not
No
like
one's
I
gonna do
have
it for you. Yeah.
an A&R. I don't have, yeah, I don't have these
No
people
one got
around me yet.
anywhere in the arts from being modest, let me tell you. It just doesn't
There you
work.
go. There you go. There has to be a certain level of confidence, and that
Yeah,
requires us to kind of, just put ourselves out there.
100%.
And most people don't like it, and it is what it is.
But
But
yeah,
yeah,
is that a bit of an insecurity that people might think that you're trying to, I don't know, be all that? I don't know.
not
No,
really,
it's not a
because
thing for
I
you. Okay,
know,
good, good,
nah, no, 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 no,
good,
because
good,
I
good.
know in myself that that's not the reason as to why. Nothing wrong with it,
Exactly. No, no, no.
but I know that even if that rumor was to go around, or that's what
Mm.
people thought, it's not my intention. That's not why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So no,
Mm.
it's not a big thing for me. No.
What are your intentions? How would you see yourself in 5 years? And then how would you see yourself like
Oof,
in the
the dreaded question.
epitome of your success? Like what would that be?
Oh my gosh. Ideally, a well-established artist all around, not just music. Like, I
Yeah.
love dance, I love acting, I love producing. I mean, that's a lot on your plate, but um I would
You can
love
do
to
it.
just, yeah, no, I
You
would
can do
love
it.
to venture
Yeah.
out in all
Why
those
not?
areas and be successful in my own right, and
Mm-hmm.
not have, not to have any doubts in what I'm doing. And also help other people through what I'm doing, I guess, to be a
Yeah.
good example. I really want to be a good example of like hard work and moving with grace, like there's
Love
always
it.
going to be people, especially in our culture, that have something to say. Um, but doing it with your head held high, but not in like a douchey or a, whatever
Yes.
way.
Of course.
Because I've had a lot of, and this is a part of it, like I've had so many people that I never would have thought were creatives, especially amongst our community in Adelaide, reach
Mm.
out to me and be like, Hansini, can you like help me how to sing? Or like, can you teach me how to do this? Yeah,
That's
like,
so beautiful.
yeah, like in all different ages too, like a lot younger than me and some older than me too, be like, hey,
Wow.
I admire what you, and that is like, that means the world to me, just to be able to give
Yeah.
people that confidence to even, because even asking someone for help, whether that be in the music industry
Mm.
or not, is so scary, right? And especially in our culture, it's
Mm.
kind of like taboo, it's weird to ask for help, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
But
I totally get that. Yeah.
yeah. And so for that to already have started happening, it gave me
Mm.
more of a sense of purpose as well as to why I wanted to pursue it seriously and commit to the creative industry.
Yeah.
Um, because it's so underpopulated with the brown peoples. And so to have these like confident people come out finally now with confidence is just, yeah, it warms my heart. It's so cool. It's the best.
That's so
So yeah.
awesome. That is so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
My next
But
question. Sorry. My next question is, how did your parents take it? What was that like? Because you talked about your mum, but you didn't talk about your dad. I don't know if you're comfortable.
yeah.
If you're not, just tell me.
No, it's fine. I won't go into too much detail,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's a given. A lot of like, I'm daddy's girl. I'm the firstborn. He
Mm-hmm.
had like really big expectations to me, you know, and he always saw this creative. I think it kind of almost scared him, like how much
Mm.
I was like going towards the creative. And he would always push the idea of like, I did UMAT, I did all those medical application thingies. I did all those things. And so for him, he didn't take it the best.
Yeah.
And what's funny is he only found out very close to the date that I was moving to Melbourne. Not
Mm.
like, not days, not weeks, but like a month or two that I was actually going to move. Um,
Right.
Purely because there was things going on with him, health wise. I didn't want to cause any more stress. So yeah, it was a very tricky time for me and
Yeah.
him.
Wow.
But like, for me, it was like, it came from a very pure place, telling him at the last minute, I guess, not last minute, but not as early as I maybe should have. But um, it was, yeah, it was tricky because I think now he definitely understands why I left it for so long.
Mm.
Um, but in the moment, it was very much like, what are you doing? Like, you're the oldest. You, like I said before, you have two younger sisters. What are you,
Yeah.
you know? Because yeah, I did a year and a half of psych, and then actually when I moved to Melbourne, I was at a different music uni to what I am now. So I did a year at AIM.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that I wanted to also do entertainment management, so a bit more businessy side to music, also with the performance stuff. And so I moved again. And so, and now I'm staying there. There's no more moving for me, but just that, like, just not being certain in his eyes, it was
Mm.
almost like I was stabbing him and then pulling it out again and then stabbing him,
Mm.
you know. But now
Yeah.
he's like my biggest cheerleader now. Like when I came up with,
I
you know, the
love
first song
that.
that I featured on, he was gassed. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
so cute.
yeah, it comes with, you know, obviously our cultural background and all of that.
Mm.
Um, and I think there's still that wish that I would pursue something more realistic, but he's
Yeah.
definitely more supportive now. Definitely more supportive.
Mm.
Yeah. 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 What
It,
about
it's so.
you?
Oh, okay,
Yeah, okay, fine. I want to have a conversation. I
This,
don't
again,
want
this this is supposed to be me interviewing you, but sure. Wait, what was the
to.
question? What did you want to know
About your
exactly?
parents. Like,
Oh,
yeah, how did your dad take it?
it was a very traumatic time for me. Very, very traumatic.
Yeah.
I went through some shit, some of which I haven't really talked about and still
Yeah.
have to kind of go through
Of
in
course. No, totally fine.
therapy.
Yeah.
So I'm not
Yeah.
going to mention those things. But I was this close to being kicked out and disowned by my dad and my entire family and et cetera, et cetera. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it was a very interesting time. Well, at
Mm.
first, when I told him that, Dad, I'm not gonna continue my science degree. This is something I gotta do. Um,
Yeah, right.
well, I think it was coming for him because that whole year I was in uni, I was just like auditioning uni, and I was doing dance classes and things, and my mind wasn't in the uni. Anyone could tell. Anyone could tell.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
Anyone could tell from back in primary school that this is what I was supposed to do, yet somehow I just didn't understand that until took me like 20 years, no, 18 years. But
Yeah. No, same.
I think he was very, it was a mixture of disappointment and giving up, but also half acceptance. It was sort of like, okay, I saw that coming. It's okay. Like, I give you my blessing.
Mm. Mm, mm, mm.
But I wish you would finish uni
Yeah,
first.
no, same.
But I
Yeah, no,
wish
same.
you would have a backup plan. And then, so it got better. It got good. And then it got
Mm-mm.
real bad, real bad.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why was there was a lot of pressure on my dad from other people. So it wasn't um, a clean problem to solve, if that makes sense, because there were
Yeah.
multiple parties involved and multiple parties pressuring like everyone surrounding and pressuring my dad, and this kind of
Yeah.
thing of, you're a really bad parent, look how she's turned out, she's off the rails, she's a
Yeah.
slut. I got that so much. um
She.
from my own family too. I got, you're a disgrace to your dead mother, from my own grandmother, so my mother's mother. Um,
Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, so I got like some really shitty stuff happen, and then,
Yeah.
but again, I think that it was like maybe 50% my dad trying to process it and not having like my mom to like, or anyone trustworthy to like really figure it out.
For
And then other
grandpa.
people parroting their opinions and their judgments onto him and onto me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was
Yeah.
like, yeah, so it was a very tough time. But luckily, and this is where I think it's so amazing when brown parents can put their cultural beliefs aside for 1 second and just love, just purely love for a second, when you can just put your own like shit, your own beliefs, your own emotional baggage aside, just completely embrace someone else's subjective experience. That's like
Yeah.
such a big thing. It's like,
Yeah.
I can always use this analogy now because the elections are coming up, but it's like when a Trump supporter and a Biden supporter can be friends and just put their beliefs aside for a second and be like, well, this is just two humans in friendship and love, and that's what it's
Yeah.
about. And I think it's such a big thing for our parents to do. So the fact that they did it is like huge, and I'm so grateful. So he was able to like put the shit aside and just love me and accept me, and our relationship's never been better. But it
See,
took a lot
awesome.
of realizing and work
Yeah.
on both our ends, because I'm no angel either. I definitely added to the fire,
Oh no,
and
me too.
I definitely take responsibility for a lot of the shit that went down. But um yeah, we worked on our relationship so hard, and
And you
now,
know what? Oh, sorry. No, no,
and
continue.
yeah, I was just going to say, now our communication is spotless.
Right? No, see, I think this is a blessing that came out of like a really hard time because
Mm,
me and my parents, we talk like we're friends now.
me
Like
too.
that's yeah, see, it's sick. And I personally haven't seen that in like
Yeah.
many ethnic families.
Yes.
And it shocks some people the way that I talk to my mom sometimes. They're like, you're talking, yeah. I'm like,
Yes.
oh, you
Yeah.
got
Me
jokes.
too.
It's just banterers
Or
with my
even just
mom. And
challenging your parents' opinions. Like, that's a huge
that,
thing that people
oh
can't
my
do.
gosh. Yes. Oh, easily now. Like me and my
Mm.
dad, we get into proper like fist fights about certain things. Or, even if it's even if it's just to do with like female like problems. He'll
Yes.
have a say or something, and I'm like, nah, that doesn't fly. And he accepts it now. Like he'll think about why I got like annoyed about that. And same when it comes to
Mm.
music. If he doesn't understand something, he's a lot more open-minded, um,
Mm.
and like ask questions and ask how I'm doing,
Mm.
which is really, really nice, which I didn't have before this turmoil and
Yes.
heartbreak and,
And you
and
know what?
mess.
I
So
think it's really good. And it's sad because, like you said before, our culture doesn't really make room or space for expression. So that's why, like, just in every sense, just even in voicing your opinion at the dinner table about something
mhm.
random, like it just doesn't happen. we're taught to be really polite, quiet brown kids. So I think that I mean, it's really hard to say because it's hard to break out of the habit, but I think that it's our responsibility as brown kids to challenge our parents and to like open their mind and you know, even if that sometimes, you know, of course don't do it if you have a tiger parent that's abusing you, but
No.
like it's healthy to a certain extent because you only like grow from that challenge. And you know, sometimes the push is good, and look at us now with our parents. I mean, I'm not
Look
saying
at
go
Don't
like,
go ham on
start
it. You need
fights every day.
play your
But-
cards right. Play your cards
Yeah.
right. Oh god, I learned that very quickly. Like,
Yes.
yeah. Definitely pushed
Um,
and shoved a little bit too much here and there, but
yes.
luckily it turned out in my favor. So no,
So
it's
good.
all good.
And
All good.
okay, back to you. What's your advice for any brown kids today that are budding artists that are listening to this and want advice on how to navigate like navigate being an artist in brown culture and the whole controversy of that, as well as like the parent side of things? Any advice you would give your younger self?
Oh geez. Definitely understand their point of view. The aggression or the just what may feel like no support at all is just them not really understanding what the industry or the career that you're trying to pursue is.
Very true.
And that took me a long time to realize, unfortunately, is that in Lanka doing music is not a viable career option, you know. It's only a few that are lucky enough to actually make a career out of it back there. So just coming from that understanding point of view and not just attacking and be like, well, look, I can do it here. I get what you don't understand, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
Making it a conversation, I think is very important. And also, as annoying as it can be patient with them. I had to be patient for a long time. I had to kind of show them that it wasn't a phase. And that it was something that I actually wanted to continue doing for the rest of my life. And like when I gave them results also, they were like, okay, I see how you can potentially do. Like when I did extra gigs for acting, or when I released a song, or when I was actually performing and you know making a profit off of that, perhaps they were like, okay, cool. I see the mind map. It all kind of connects and makes sense now. So be patient, definitely. Work silently, I think also, and let the work speak for itself. Don't give them too much to like nitpick at.
That
was definitely.
I still have a horrible habit of not telling my dad like about things, so I'll be like heading out and he'll be like,
you're like on the extreme.
I have an audition, don't stress me out. But because I think I'm like still traumatized and in the back of my mind terrified of being rejected or criticized, like, oh, you have an audition or another one that you won't get, that kind of thing.
No, of course, no.
But
of
course,
course.
that's an extreme. Don't do that. Don't do what I do. But what she said, like play your cards right.
Yeah, play your cards
Give
right.
them a little bit on everything.
Exactly. Like when I did have my plans to move to Melbourne, like my mom can read me like the back of her hand. Yes, that's different. But like my dad or just my sisters, it was more so like having the plan set out, knowing exactly what I was going to do, how I was going to execute it. So there was no area for them to worry. Know exactly what you want to do, what you want to get out of it. When you're conversing with them, don't make it sound like you're unsure, because
they'll sniff it out. They'll sniff it off you like a dog.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that uncertainty that I did have in the first year of Melbourne scared them a little bit, because that uni wasn't really right for me. But then once I moved, I was like, no, this is what I'm doing. I'm studying music performance. I'm doing entertainment management. It's this long, this. I have placement. Like I just laid it out for them. And then they were like, okay, cool. So she knows what she's doing now. There's not too much to worry about.
You know what's hard about that? By the way, thank you for that advice. I 100% agree with everything she said. It was golden. So like you guys should watch that again or something, because
Oh
that
gosh,
just
no, I am
perfectly
still
worded.
learning.
But what I was going to say is that whole thing of you have to be really sure with them, otherwise they don't feel reassured. Doesn't it sort of suck though that in our culture there's no room for experimentation? We
Oh,
are
100%.
only in our early 20s, and how are we expected to know what we want to do? You know, because I mean, we're lucky because I think this happens a lot with artists. You just know or you don't. Like you just it's quite black and white. But with other people, I feel really bad for them, because there are some people that just, you know, get out of high school and they genuinely just don't know, and that's not their fault. That's not, it just happens, right? And that's a lot of people, and there's no room for error, there's no room to screw up, there's no, you know, I always say that in a brown culture, changing degrees or dropping out is worse than choosing a dropkick degree to start with. Like if you came out of high school and decided to be a tradie, a brown tradie, that would be better than going from med to music or something. Like that whole,
Oh my God, that's a crucifixion. That's a death sentence. No, like I was close to that sentence because like psych is kind of medicine. Is it a science? People are still arguing with me on that. But nah, I was at the edge of that sword. Yeah, 100%. No, I get it. And I think where that comes from is like where our parents grew up, right? In Lanka, it's like you have to do really well in school. Like those exams are brutal, and they are defining moments for you. Like if you don't do well in that, then the chances of you pursuing a successful career, going to a good uni that is reputable, you know, that kind of stuff, it's intense there. And so that's where that mindset, no, stop messing around, you need to know exactly what you want, comes from. And that's why I think understanding is very important too.
True, that's very true, actually.
Telling
You're
them,
right.
telling them that, you know, in Australia we're very lucky enough that we're able to kind of dibble dabble in a couple of things at a time, and it be okay. Like it's not a waste of time, it adds experience, and that's what people who might hire us at the end of the day want, you know.
Yeah, that's so true. That's actually very true. And we're not in survival mode here, whereas you might be in another country. Here, you know, you could be a waitress your entire life and make a decent living and live a quite a, you know, luxurious first world lifestyle and not have to worry about food or water or a roof over your head. But I suppose in the process of assimilation, it doesn't click, I guess.
Yeah, of course, because when they moved here, it was all struggle, like you said, you know. They had to learn a new language, they had to you know, understand the way that people talk, the way people walk, all that, you know, just it was all new to them, and so they don't like uncertainty.
That's
purely
very
because
true.
that was their whole
trauma,
first couple first couple years moving here. And they always say that, you know, we moved here for you, this and the other. So don't stuff it up. Like make my trauma worthwhile, you know. So there has to be a lot of understanding, as shit as it can be. I think that's a big part of it.
And I want to say, in my opinion, I think there's a difference between understanding and then justifying or making excuses for, because I think that we can sometimes, you know, if someone's traumatized us or someone's inflicted pain upon us, you know, we can understand where they came from and that maybe it wasn't intentional, but the fact of the matter is this pain was still there, and it doesn't always mean that that person has to take responsibility. We need to like point the finger and blame them, but you can still say that was not okay and still be like, but I understand. But it's not it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing.
It's not in our ethnic understanding.
Because I think that a lot of people, I found a pet peeve of mine with brown paint. I have just random people that for some reason come on the platform and just like they're just, I don't know, randos that come on and just like hate. keyboard warriors.
Keyboard warriors, yes. But that's exactly what they are. That's exactly what they are. They're never going to say that to your face. There you go. Exactly.
But like I have a lot of like brown keyboard warriors, which I guess maybe like that's why it hurts, because they're brown, and I think, oh, like, surely you've
No.
been through this, surely you get it, surely, like, why can't you just support another brown person? But they just
Right.
like, they just always say, oh no, but our parents, like, they went through so much, but they make excuses for what's
Mhm.
happened, and they undermine other people's struggles. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's taken me a while, because I was like tossing up between the two sides, and I realized that there is a middle where you can
Mm.
say, look, what you did was not okay, and it was fucked up, and it traumatized me, but I understand where you were coming from, from your subjective perspective, and I still love you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And oh, I completely agree.
Mhm.
But I think it's just drilled into our culture where it's just no,
No,
I'm
yeah.
right. You what you're
Yes.
doing, you know, that
Yes, that's true.
open-mindedness, or what I think most importantly that we need to actually really focus on and really embed more in our culture is unlearning, because we have so many people that think they
Oh,
know, that think they
you just gave me
know.
goosebumps. That is huge. Keep talking
No,
about
but it's
this.
so true.
Keep going around.
I've
Tell me what you think, because this is such an amazing point. Tell me about this
yes.
unlearning thing, because this sounds incredible. Just go off.
Oh gosh. Well, I definitely had this conversation with my mum,
Mm-hmm.
because this is the funny thing. My dad is open to certain things and my mum's open to certain things. So
Okay.
what I converse about, I still need to kind of point towards a specific parent because I don't want to get a whooping sometimes. But
Right.
with mum, she's a little bit more open-minded. So I have told her that you can't believe everything at face value, if that makes sense. Like, you
Mm,
can't, what a person says, you need to fact check it, or you have
mm,
to try and look for evidence yourself, whether that be that music is not a viable career choice,
mm,
and your pre I guess the stigma around it, just everything that she probably heard as a child is, it's not, you can't pursue this career, right? Instead of being stubborn and just sticking to that, there's no harm in, and this is another thing, they don't like getting advice from people that are younger than them, especially their own kids, right?
yes, yeah.
And
Which is
so
really funny, because in Western culture, well, maybe not Western culture, but modern Western culture, like, you hear people saying, you can learn so much from your kids. Kids are here to learn
right,
from. Like, what is it? Will Smith and
yeah,
Jada Pinkett
whereas our culture's
say
like
that?
red table talk. My parents would just be like, no, what is Willow on about? I don't, what,
I
she's
have
like
nothing to
15.
learn from you.
Yeah, she's lived a quarter of my life. What, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing for them, I think that's really hard to grasp, is that we were literally born in this society. We know how this Western culture works, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though we
Yeah.
haven't been here as long, we experience things differently. And obviously, our education is different. And what we learn about certain career choices is different. And so for them just to even be open to the idea of listening, you don't have to agree with me, but just be
Mm.
open to the idea of listening into what I have to say and how perhaps maybe this career is something that I can pursue seriously, is something that I think is so important. Because it's not all about learning. There's some things that we're not all right. We don't know anything. People don't know anything. We all have this like
So true.
ego about us where we think
So
we know
true.
everything, right?
Or if you're
And
qualified, you know
if
everything.
you're qualified, you know
Yeah.
everything. There's not anything more to learn. Exactly.
Mm.
And I think our parents, when it comes to experiences, they're like, oh no, but in my experience, that didn't work out. Or like, no, no, no.
Mm.
It's very much, yeah, it's just stuck into their head. And so I think unmolding that and just
Mm.
redefining certain things that they think is a certain way is very important. But yeah.
That's a very, very profound point. Like, I'm genuinely kind of a bit just sitting here like, whoa, I'm mind blown, because I've always focused on the whole thing of social change, and I suppose maybe possibly even jump too far into I don't know how to like fully word it in a way that's tangible, but like getting someone to understand the new way. But I guess along the way, I've forgotten that that there's a process there, that a bridge that they have to cross, that they need to unlearn what they already know in order to learn something new.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to communicate.
There you go. Well done.
Yeah, unlearning is so important. It is so important because, I mean, if our parents could master unlearning, that would be
Oof.
just insane. They could unlearn their trauma to start with that. That would be huge. Imagine what type of people they would be if they like unlearned their trauma and were actually able to process that.
Process it and communicate it with us too, because that's the thing that does
Yeah,
not happen in our community at all. Like,
communication, huge thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because we can
Mm-hmm.
see maybe that our parents are going through some stuff or just that they're not themselves, and we'll never know why.
Yeah.
There's not ever a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
They'll think they don't want to burden us, or
It's very
they
true.
think that we're too young to understand. I've heard that so much from my parents. You're too young to understand. Don't worry about it. Even now, at this age, they're like, no, no, don't worry about it. It's my concern, not yours. And I'm like, but this affects me, you know? Yeah, the way that you might give me advice, but then completely not follow it is it's ironic, it's hypocritical. So then it confuses us. It's like, okay, then so what do I listen to? What is
Yeah. Do you think that possibly we're in a very privileged generation? Like, for example, our parents might have had to live through war or like poverty or sacrifice to come here, and they've come
Oh,
from horrible situations. I mean, that generation's kind of been through worldwide trauma, whereas we kind of, besides this pandemic, there's kind of
no,
nothing to
god
complain
damn.
about. Like, to be honest,
Yeah.
if we really look objectively, millennials
Oh,
are very privileged, very, very
we're so
privileged
lucky. So
in
lucky.
general.
And even just where we are. Like,
Yeah.
I'll quickly touch on the story. My mum told me a couple months ago that one of our cousins wanted to pursue the arts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and mind you, my cousin is male and he's a bit younger than me. And so his mum called my mum, so my cousin called mum and was like, hey, I don't know what to do. Like, he's so determined to like pursue this, but I don't want him to. Like, everybody, like, I'm not gonna let him. And so we are so privileged in even being able to voice.
Yeah.
Like, my cousin is like close to my age, but just because of his location as well, he's unable to even explore the idea of creative expression or music or whatever he wants to do in the arts, you know.
Yeah.
And so we are privileged beyond what we even realize. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, even when we do go through these hardships that we've been talking about for the last hour, it's very minute, not minute. I don't want to believe, like, undermine our
No, no,
experiences,
no.
but it's
But objectively
objectively,
speaking,
we are
yeah.
so lucky.
Yeah, we
The
are.
fact that I was able to talk back to my dad and be like, no, this is what I'm doing.
Our parents would
I'm
have
doing
gotten
this.
absolutely belted for that. So,
Slaughtered in Lanka. Like, that
yeah.
is no way. No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
No. And even the people that we are now, our personalities, how we talk, the fact that we talk about this stuff, it wouldn't be like that if we were born and raised in Lanka, you know?
It's very true. Very,
Yeah.
very true.
Yeah. So we're lucky on so many different levels and
Yeah.
aspects, you know?
Heck yeah. Last question.
Yes.
So if we've been through my thinking and my experiences, that if we've been through this much discrimination within our South Asian culture for just simply wanting to be who we are and become artists and do this kind of so-called controversial route, imagine the amount of other closeted, because it's so controversial, it's closeted brown artists that might be out there, people that have possibly even convinced themselves that they should be doing something else, or they're just so tied down by the pressure of parents and the community and brown culture to do something. I think that this is a huge contributing factor that's not mentioned when it comes to representation. And I'm specifically talking about our culture because I can't really talk about any other culture, but Yeah, do you agree with that? Do you agree that this is a huge kind of like pimple to pick at?
Factor. Oh yeah, yeah. I love the
A pimple to
analogy.
pick at,
Yes.
that could lead to more representation if we actually encouraged expression in South Asian culture, and being an artist wasn't perceived as such a bad thing.
Oh, 110 million%. Like Lankans are some of the most talented people that I know.
Agreed.
Like in all
Mm,
aspects of life, whether it
mhm,
be academic, like some of my smartest friends are Lankans, right?
mhm,
And not even just in academics, in the arts. We're so adaptable. Like people that weren't brought up doing dance or whatever.
mhm.
For like, say, even New Year's festivals, we'll
Yeah,
just pick out some people and be like, come on, you're doing this dance. And they can dance in time. They've got
it's
rhythm in their
crazy.
body. It's natural to
Yes.
us, It's like it's embedded in us. And so it is so sad that it is not encouraged because we are very talented people, like on
Mm.
some non-cocky level.
No, no, for
we are
sure. I
very
totally
we are
agree.
so talented, and if we encourage that, if we allowed that side of people to flourish, I think we would get a lot more representation. 100%.
Mm.
Oh yeah, so easy. Yeah, yeah,
Heck
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. Anything else you wanted to kind of, any last like closing thoughts or comments before we wrap this session up?
Oh gosh, so much to wrap up in one sentence. I hope I hope to people that join. First of all, thank you so much to everyone that
Yes,
joined.
thank you.
Lankan or not, South Asian or not.
Mhm.
We hope this was insightful for all of you. Um, I hope that from me and Adya's experiences, from our stories, that you find some type of just relatability or just some type of what's the word? Not solace, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just comfort, solace. Yeah, in understanding that we have gone through some traumatic stuff, but it's all
Yeah,
turned out to be some beautiful, awesome experiences. And we are so open to talking to anyone or
for
helping
sure.
anyone that wants to get their foot in the door when it comes to
100%.
the creative industry. Because yeah, we've got some talent in our community and we need to show it off. Come on.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What about you?
Oh,
Wrapping up.
well, firstly, thank you. Thank you for doing
Thank
this.
you.
Seriously.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like we've just had such a nice chat, and
I know.
it's
This
so
is
cool to
nice.
do this. I think podcasts are great because it just feels like chatting and catching up with a friend and then a whole bunch of people listening.
Just was thinking about you. Yeah.
But thank you for that. And thank you for reaching out to me and connecting, and I'm like
Of
becoming friends
course.
and stuff, because I just think that, again, I do support a lot of brown artists, but
Mm,
it's rare that people open up about the, that discrimination side of things intraculturally, the whole topic of today.
mm. Yeah.
So I just thank you for being vulnerable with that, and thank you for
Oh, of
opening
course.
up, because
Thank
I
you.
know that that can be traumatic.
Mm.
And yeah, this
No.
is this is totally a topic that deserves more light, and yeah, it's a
Yes.
lot bigger of a problem than people think. So thank you.
Yes. No. Thank you so much for giving us this platform. Like I said before, you're incredible. Keep doing what you're doing because you're killing it. Actually,
Oh,
people that don't know who Adia is, please check out her profile as well as Brown Paint Brown because
yes.
she is smashing it. She is breaking down the stigmas, breaking down the walls, starting
Heck
conversations
yeah.
that need to be had more often.
Heck
So
yeah.
you are a Wonder Woman, honestly.
Oh,
Props to
same
you.
to
Props to you.
you.
You to
Um,
you.
awesome. So if there's no
Yes.
questions, we can wrap up this live. I'm surprised it actually lasted.
Yeah.
It's been like an hour and
I
20.
know.
Crazy.
Wow. Thank you so much,
I'm
guys.
going to
Oh, a
press
lot of love.